this is a very important video from Mr. Miles Guo because as we remembered in June, he told the world, the Communist Party, the CCP, will actually release the virus again.
然后昨天这些很多国家说，南京的是怎么
around the world. So and this time he's when the Tokyo Olympics, right now there are so many people get infected by this virus, and this is the way how the CCP use this stage to hide the true intention to release the virus and to cheat the world. So I want to first ask Colonel to share what is your thoughts about this after you listen to Mr. Miles Guo's guide.
Yeah, I gotta say, once again, I'm shocked and amazed by how accurate Mr. Miles Guo's intelligence is. And his warning became the reality again. Just like January 2nd, 2020, just 3 days after the first reported COVID case from the Wuhan, on December 31st, 2019, Mr. Miles Guo has already said that there's a scheme behind this virus, this biological weapon, which was planned by several top CCP kleptocrats. And how did Mr. Miles know? He knew because he had intelligence from the Wuhan Emergency Infectious Disease Control Team, which consisted of people from the CCP's Ministry of Health, the State Ministry of Public Security, Political and Legal Affairs Commission, and the State Security Committee. And last month, as we saw in the video, Mr. Miles Guo also warned us about the CCP planning to spread the virus again from August to October, and they will use the Tokyo Olympic to do that. And now we see Tokyo's daily COVID-19 infections hit record high, and the number of cases are increasing all over the world. The Nanjing outbreak is spreading in 26 cities, and everyone in Zhengzhou are required to do a nucleic acid test as the virus is spreading in Zhengzhou too. And actually, many people told me that I shouldn't talk about these negative things, like we should love China. And I think all of us here love China. We love the Chinese people. We really care about what's happening in China. But when you see the Chinese people are suffering because of the man-made disaster from the CCP, and when you see that those people in Zhengzhou who just survived the flood are now fighting for their lives again because of the CCP virus, it's impossible not to hate the Chinese Communist Party. It's impossible not want to take down the CCP. And because we're certain that the Chinese people will live a much, much better life in the new federal states of China. Yeah, that's my thought. I'll pass it back to Rosemary. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. And I think you're right. Yeah, after we saw what is going on in China and what the CCP has done, use the virus attack the world. Nobody will like the CCP anymore, but we do love Chinese people and we want to take down the CCP. So next, I want to ask 7 Miles to share your thoughts with us. 7 Miles, please.
Yes. So I think Kwana said it very, very well. I really agree with her points about we're distinguishing the Chinese people from the Chinese Communist Party. We love the Chinese people. We love China, but we just don't want the Chinese Communist Party to still exist to rule us, right? It doesn't deserve to be in the position. So going back to this topic about Miles Guo's warning, actually this is the second warning he gave this year. The first warning he gave was on June the 20th, where he warned the people of the world, especially those Western countries, that the CCP is actually going to drop the virus. Right at this time, in some places it's already at the end of summer and it's beginning to fall. And it's depending on where you are, it's like August, July, late July, August, or September. Those are the months where we expect to see a large, pandemic happening. And some people still who believe that the virus came from nature will say, oh, this is because the variant that's being, spreading. And we're not saying that there's not a variant spreading. We'll say that CCP is also deliberately dropping the virus to locations where it wants. So let's talk about Japan, for example. So if we looked at the data of the cases, the number of cases from early July to late July to end of July, we see that before July the 23rd, on which the Olympics Games Tokyo 2020 began on that day, you see that before that the 7-day average of number of cases was less than 4,000, and on that very day, July 23rd, when the athletes from all over the world gather in Japan, I think they probably have arrived on that day or before, right? Just for getting used to the time difference, get used to the weather and so forth. So there are already people there. On that day, you see that there is only 4,082 cases. But suddenly on July the 30th, we don't have data on July 31st because it's weekend, so no one collects data. So June 30th, the cases is reached to 10,000, and that is 10,592 people. And the 7-day average being raised from 4,000, less than 4,000, to over 7,000. So that's a huge jump. If we look at even before July, the number of cases was like 2,000 or 3,000. So the level was really, really low. So it's really not a coincidence, right? We don't believe in conspiracies. We're not conspiracists. But we also do not believe in coincidence, because things happened too coincidentally. Must be something wrong. There must be something going on in this Tokyo Olympics. And so we know that since CCP is good at covering up, it always attribute things that happened, because of the man, because it's caused by human behavior, and attribute that to natural things. Like in Zhengzhou flood, it's people, it's the corrupt government. They opened the floodgate to discharge the reservoir in the first place before the heavy rain, and yet they blamed rain for the flood, and they cover up the deaths. They don't want people to take photos to report on the truth, or even to mourn over these victims, right? You got caught if you could give flowers over the subway entrance where many people died. So that's very tragic. And CCP is good at covering up, man-made things with natural origin. Like in this here, they remember that CCP will say, "Oh, this is the variant. It's nothing to do with us." Well, in fact, my school has said days ago that CCP will do this. And look at Nanjing. Also, it's also a place. It's a transportation hub. It has very sophisticated, connected railway system, as well as a huge airport. And we see that the recent epidemic in Nanjing happened in its airport, the local airport. And in that place, so CCP always blame, it's someone else from Russia. They brought virus here, so they infected janitor of that flight, and that lead to the local pandemic. Well, that's also again a classic example of how CCP messed things up, muddy the water to make sure no one would worry about the CCP is the culprit. And don't forget, in Nanjing we got a PLA institute, and that is called the Institute for Medicine of Nanjing Command. That is military institute where the guy called Wang Changjun published a paper where he found a virus called the Zhoushan bat virus, ZC45 and ZXC37, and these coronavirus backbones were related to the CCP virus. They bear a lot of similarity to the CCP virus we have. And that place is right in Nanjing. And we know in Wuhan there is a lab where the virus was made, right? And so the CCP dropped the virus in Wuhan last year. And now they use Nanjing. So I don't feel surprised at all why they chose Nanjing to drop the virus. So here we really appreciate my school's warning, and what he's doing is just help the world to know that we, the Chinese people, especially the followers of the whistleblowers movement, are not equal to the CCP. We want to let the world know that we are not conspiracists. We're not just creating fear. We're not rumor mongers. We're not fear mongers. We are the people that trying to bring the truth to the world, and we want people to learn from it. Maybe next time you guys should listen to us